to pop my neck. I just didn't feel comfortable.
Welcome to the 15th Floor, a Radiohead reaction podcast. This is episode 2, a Gen Z father and his Gen Z son react to Radiohead songs. I'm Scott, I'm Gen X. This is my son Jacob, he's Gen Z. And we're going to listen to Radiohead songs one at a time. While Jacob hears them for the first time, we'll give you a Gen Z's perspective on how much that song holds up and if it contributes to my hypothesis that is that Radiohead is the greatest band of all time. Right?
Yep.
So we appreciate all the response we got from our first couple of videos. That's really nice of you guys. To a lot of subscribers, a lot of views. That was a lot more, as I said at the end of that last video. If we got 15, that I could retire. That's not true. I can't retire because it's not a monetized video. But we really appreciate everyone checking it out. We did look at a lot of the comments, and we wanted to address a couple of those things. One was the sound. Most of the comments were about how are you listening to Radiohead with one earbud? Mm-hmm. And the answer to that is because that's what we were doing. Yeah. No, I understand. A lot of reaction videos on YouTube have people with really nice headphones. Well, we're not doing that. Unfortunately, in this team, the Gen Xer is the one doing all the uploading and the editing, so I have to do it old school. So I have to find the best way to do it. If you have any suggestions on how two of us could listen through headphones, but I could know where we're at in the song to appropriately sync it, by all means, suggest away. But in the meantime, we're going to try something a little bit different. We're going to listen through a nice Sony Bluetooth speaker today. And I know you're also gothing at that. Bluetooth speaker, you got to listen through headphones, real nice headphones. I'm Gen X. I listened to music when I was a kid on my dad's hi-fi, and then cassette tape, and then in my Walkman. For those of you who don't know what a Walkman is, Google it. And then when CDs came out and finally sound was great, that was a great way to listen to music. But Gen Xers don't do our daily life with earbuds in our ears, so that's foreign to me. For you, that's a little more common.
Yeah, but when we listen to this, I don't think there's going to be a huge difference.
Oh, no. Yeah. No, it's going to come through a real nice speaker, so we're going to hear some good crystal clear sound. But again, if you have some better suggestions, we're open to them. One of the suggestions was that I shouldn't try to influence you so much, and that's a really good suggestion, because yes, this is his reaction and me trying to convince him. I should let him listen to the song, respond to the song, before I tell him why he's absolutely right, or if he has anything negative, say absolutely wrong. But yes, that's what we're going to do today. That's an excellent suggestion. Yeah, we've got to see what a Gen Zer really thinks of these great songs. Of these very great, you can't say anything bad about them songs.
Okay.
And there was also a question about how did we come up with the name The 15th Floor. That's from a Radiohead lyric in the song Just, which is from the album The Bends. That one stands out to me. I'll even tell the story. My first time seeing Radiohead in concert, they were on tour for The Bends, the second album. And they were playing at a tiny little venue called the DV8 in Seattle. It's right at the bottom of the Space Needle and just across the street, a very small club. My friend and I, we got in, we were in the front row, just slightly off to the side where I can look up to the right and see Tom York. And he introduced this song Just, by saying, this next song's about a man hanging out the 15th floor. And the whole audience was like dead silent. They had no idea what that was referencing. Well, I liked that song a lot. And so I was like, yeah! And I knew what song it was. And Tom York pointed at me and he like this, hey, this guy gets it. And so it was my moment of connection with Tom York when he referenced the 15th floor. I knew exactly what song was coming. I'm sure the other people did too. They just didn't make the connection as quick as I did.
Of course.
And
of course.
Yeah, because of that, I got my special moment with Tom York. And for that, we've named the podcast The 15th Floor. And then there was another question about if somebody asked if I could list in order my favorite Radiohead albums, and we'll get to stuff like that after Jacob hears enough from the Radiohead library. I'd like to do an episode where we can both talk about which albums we like and then put them in a certain order. Comments were great. Thank you for being mostly positive. It's a YouTube channel with a father and a son. We're not trying to change the world. We're just trying to make you like Radiohead. And that will change the world.
I was going to say, how is that not changing the world?
Yeah, that's changing the world. Yeah, Let's get right into it. This is episode 2. Today's song is High and Dry, a single off of The Bends, their second album. I'm not going to talk a lot about the song until afterwards. We were going to let Jacob listen to it. If you want to listen to it, take a moment. The link is down in the description. You can hear the whole song. But Jacob's going to respond to it now, and I'll try to sit on my hands and be really cool about it.
The intro has a nice little drum beat, which is always entertaining to listen to. And then the guitar, for me, if the song has a good guitar, it's automatically like just an average song. If everything else is terrible, but the guitar is great, then it's a pretty decent song. So this could easily get a 5 from where we're starting, though.
You like the simple strumming, the chords.
Yeah, it has a nice rhythm to it.
It is, I'll speak. It is a simple guitar song. It is a 5-piece song, but that's Tom York on the acoustic guitar. You'll hear Johnny Greenwood come in with some electrical effects, and you'll hear Ed O'Brien a little bit. But this is it's a Tom York on the acoustic guitar, a heavy.
Flying on your motorcycle, watching all the ground beneath you drop. You broke another mirror, you're turning into something you are not.
One verse in.
We are not even listening to the chorus yet, but that's a dark song, isn't it? Like, I'm not great with like trying to figure out what songs are all about, but like, so far from what I'm getting, it's about a boy who wants to kill himself.
That might be a little too literal. You'd kill yourself for recognition. We'll talk a little bit more about what people think this song means. Tom York doesn't give us a lot of information other than to say he was dating kind of a crazy girl at the time.
I take everything so literal. So you kill yourself for recognition. I take that.
It's not as dark as you think. That's I understand what you're saying as a teenager. You're hearing that as very, very dark. It's more about the spotlight. I think it's more about the praise and glory that you get for flying along on your motorcycle.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to say, but like if
Yeah.
I get something wrong, people are gonna be like, that's not what the song's about.
They'll forgive you. They don't know either.
Don't leave me dry. Don't leave me high. Don't leave me dry.
I do like after the second "Don't Leave Me High," we have a nice little drum beat going on there. I thought that was a nice little feature added.
Yeah. What do you think about his vocals so far? This is a song where he goes in and out of falsetto, but very effortlessly.
It's good.
It's effortless. He's just slipping right in as if he's a soprano.
He knows how to sing.
Drying up in conversation, you'll be the one who cannot talk. All your insides fall to pieces. You just sit there wishing you could still make love. They're the ones who'll spit at you. You'll be the one screaming out.
This is definitely not a song about someone wanting to kill themselves. That second verse definitely clears that up. And that's all I really wanted to say. It's like the first verse seemed dark, but like, yeah, it's just giving examples of it's just describing this person that he's talking about.
Yeah. So, since you've already given your take, I'll give my take. That first verse is someone who's gained some kind of instant notoriety somehow, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's through popularity, whatever the case may be. The second verse is that notoriety quickly being taken away.
Yeah.
Your insides fall to pieces. They're the ones that spit at you. You think you've got the world all sussed out, all figured out, and all that notoriety you gained is quickly gone.
Don't leave me dry.
That's beautiful.
Don't leave me
The guitar solo just finished, and it's just it doesn't even have to be complex. That was a good guitar solo, and he was doing the same thing over and over again, and it just sounded good.
That's a great observation. That is exactly right about that guitar solo. He could have done a zillion different things, but he just repeats that little rhythm, and it really fills it in. That's Johnny Greenwood on the guitar solo, and Johnny Greenwood. You hear that, and you might think you're seeing a peaceful little guy, plucking at the strings. Johnny Greenwood has a very constant posture on stage where he looks like he's got a terrible back, and he's leaning over his guitar. His hair is falling in front of his face, and he occasionally kind of whips his head, a little bit. And he always hits the guitar strings like he's a little mad at them, even when he's playing sweet little solos like that. Watch a version of High and Dry, a live version, and he's not just sitting there, kissing the air or anything like that. He is hitting that string like he's mad at it.
Best thing that you ever had. Best thing you've had is gone away. So don't leave me high. Don't leave me dry. Don't leave me Don't leave me dry.
That was a good finish. I think putting there at 7 out of 10 is kind of a bad choice. I think that should go lower because this song is like a 9.
Go with your instincts, young
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
There was a 7. It was better than that. You were just, I get it. You're a critic.
No.
I get it. But High and Dry is pretty awesome.
Yeah. The simplicity of the song is probably the best thing about it. It's so simple, but it's so good at the same time. You have the classic verse, chorus. Here, the chorus added a little bit more. And then the last chorus, he adds the guitar solo, he adds it again, but it's not as extreme, and that's also a good feature in the song.
Yeah, that last "Don't Leave Me High," when you hear that solo come up again, and it just stays that. Oh, it's good. It's good. And again, his vocals effortlessly in and out of falsetto. That is Tom York figuring out what he wants to do with Radiohead on the 3rd track of the 2nd album. I mean, if you listen to Pablo Honey, the 1st album, you'll get songs like "How Do You," or even in Black Star on this album, The Bends. You'll get a more rock and roll, a more almost grunge rock version of Tom York, an early version of Radiohead, a version that Tom York would have gone nuts had he had to stay in. So he had to progress to stuff like this, and of course that classic Tom York falsetto becomes very signature in the Radiohead sound from then on out. This is a funny song because it's such a classic, and any Radiohead fan loves High and Dry. Tom York says, "High and Dry is not a bad song. It's a very bad song." Tom York does not like High and Dry because it doesn't challenge him enough as a musician, I think. I can't speak for Tom York. But he had been playing, High and Dry shows up on the Bends, but it's actually a song that's had been around for years. Tom York had been playing a version of High and Dry since before he was playing with the other guys. After Pablo Honey, after Creep, the record label wanted a hit, so they were like, "Hey, bring out that song High and Dry," and Tom York did not want to do that, but at that, you have no power as a musician early in your career, so he did it. And this is what they produced. And of course, it's one of their hits. By the time they get to OK Computer and they produce their own album, they're like, okay, now we can start challenging ourselves a little bit. And then it's not until Kid A that they say, okay, forget what all of you guys say. We are challenging ourselves as musicians, which is what they do for the rest of their career. High and Dry works perfectly on The Tonight Show. It works perfectly on Saturday Night Live. But it doesn't challenge a musician who wants to be challenged, who wants to go beyond the 5-piece music. This is such a basic standard, and as much as it hits, smacks, flips, flaps, what do you Gen Zers call it when a song drops, flops, plops? Something like that. It hits, right? As much as as good of a song as it is, it just doesn't challenge them enough. The good news is the rest of us can just love it. I've loved High and Dry. It was one of the first songs that stood out from this album. It was one of my first Radiohead standards. And after They're There, where I realized we did They're There, and a lot of people who don't know Radiohead might think that that is a complete Radiohead sound. That's a version of complete Radiohead sound. But this is early Radiohead. This is what got people like me into Radiohead. As far as what the song's about, of course, we don't have a lot of clues. I mean, Tom York has mentioned stuff about relationships. He's mentioned stuff about seeking notoriety. There's talk about it being about a daredevil, just because, you hear motorcycle and trying to kill yourself for recognition. But the reality of it is, it just sounds to me like someone who's trying to confront notoriety or confront their 15 minutes of fame and doesn't know how to do it. Let's see what it means to children in their art, shall we?
Yes.
So we've got the pictures up. We know you can't see them. I know. Don't say in the comments, I can't see those pictures. We'll put them up, of course, but we want to put them up just so there's something to look at. This is my daughter's picture. She listened to the song and she immediately drew a heart with a crack down the middle because it's a sad song to her. And there's no doubt about it, Radiohead for the first 3 albums are a sulking, sad-sounding band. But not in a real depressing way, but in kind of a, I don't know, self-induced misery fest sort of way. I guess that's sad. But I never thought of it that way. I never thought of them as a brooding, sad band. I thought the music was so moving that it made me feel all sorts of different emotions. But it's interesting to a young girl that she went straight to a broken heart. The young boy, who's significantly younger, he drew a picture. I'll put it up there.
Yeah. Okay.
He drew a picture of that thing on the top is a man screaming. That's his mouth wide open, and his head tilted back, I suppose. And the circle on the bottom is brains. I'm sure that is what Radiohead had in mind, right?
Of course. Yep.
They do say "screaming out," which is, I'm sure, what he latched onto. I'm surprised he didn't draw a motorcycle, frankly. Yeah, if you don't know Radiohead and you just heard "High and Dry" for the first time, or if you knew Radiohead was "High and Dry" and you're hearing it again, you're like, yeah, that is a good band. That is a good band. And then over the course of the next several videos, I'll convince you that they are the greatest band of all time. That's a beautiful song. It holds up so well. And this song just fits so perfectly in that era, and it still hits today. That was hip.
No, it wasn't.
Watch the actual video. We've got that in the description below. Give it a real listen to. Put it on regular play list in your car and enjoy it. Please like, subscribe. Thank you so much for subscribing. Leave a nice comment. Share it with all your friends. Thank you so much for watching. Continue to love one another. Keep listening to music together. Say it.
Oh, this has been the 15th floor.
That's true.
I had to pop my neck. I just didn't feel comfortable.